Hey folks, sorry for the little delay there. I had a tiny inconvenience with YouTube that I just couldn't find the button just to activate the live stream that I had scheduled. So sorry for that. Before I go on, before I forget, I want to apologize to Peter. If you are here, Peter, floating around somewhere on the internet, I just wanted to apologize because Peter, in one of our previous podcasts, he said that Switzerland is part of the um, Schengen area. I call him off like, nah, you're full of bullshit. That's not true. It's not. He was actually right. It is part, and there is open borders with the rest of the European Union, even though Switzerland is not um, it's not part of the European Union. So just owing up to that little mistake of mine. Yeah, not above apologizing when when you make a mistake. Man, it's been a few crazy um, last couple of weeks. Last couple of weeks have been pretty wild because everyone all of a sudden is very interested in survival and preparedness and all this stuff. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. How is everyone doing? I don't know if some folks are hanging on the scheduled live stream. I don't know. I just couldn't find. There was no button. Usually, there's a little go live button when you schedule something like that. I just did it for my Spanish channel. This time, just couldn't find it. Logan McCoy. Hey, David Hutton. Hi. A private hedge and rookie defense. I recognize that. Hi, Fernando. How are you? Doing fine. How about yourself? How are things going over there, the south of England, or was it Wales that you were in? Pale Orvac, yo man. David Hutton, how long do you expect your gas mask filters to last before plugging up and needing replacement? David Hutton, that's a good question. That's I was asked the same thing in my Spanish channel. The filters are 3M basically says that for their particle filters, they're good to go until you start feeling them clogged and it's kind of hard for you to breathe. That would be the breaking point for particle filters according to 3M. I'm going to be using this same approach for my military gas mask. Basically, it's not filtering any dangerous nerve agent or anything like that. It's being used as a particle mask. So as long as I can breathe normally in, and so far I haven't had any problem with that, I'll just keep using it. And once it's clogged, I'll replace it with a new filter. The rumors, Mr. D. There are rumors over the German internet that the NATO exercise Defender 2020 has changed into SHEF from World War II. I don't know about that. I couldn't tell you. Was not familiar with that. Sean, Hank, 123. Hey, Fernando, how's your family? Doing okay. Thanks for asking, man. And we're doing fine. Yeah, we're pretty well prepared in general, as you would be expect. It would be ridiculous if we weren't. But um, it goes beyond just this stuff, the guns, the gas mask. We're pretty tight in terms of our family. We get along very well. I get along well with my wife, even though she may say otherwise sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. We just get along very well. Kids are fine as well, so it's good. It's a little bit boring at times because you cannot go out and you can see the beach from the window, and you just want to go out there and hang in the beach, and you cannot do it anymore. But it's just part of the plan, right? Just isolation until things calm down. Mostly, I think once hospitals are a bit decompressed, that now it's pretty crazy. Now it's just peaking. So you simply need things to relax a little bit before we can start taking more risks. At least that's our plan. David Hutton, thanks for the help, sir. Thank you, David, for being here and your support. Ignacio Cordova. Hey, man. There used to be N95 masks impregnated with silver particles, making them reusable for 28 days. Okay, that makes sense because silver is used in purifying, so it has silver has an antibacterial certain antibacterial properties. For a particle filter, you just need the filter to keep the particle away from you. So silver would be a bonus, but as long as as the filter structure is still sound and solid, then it should keep on filtering until, as 3M says, until it's clogged. Once it's clogged because of all the particles, then of course you have to replace it. But these military filters, man, they're pretty tough, and especially the GSR, the gas mask, the one that I have there, the one that I use when I go out. Those are pretty good. You breathe very well, and I don't feel them getting clogged anytime soon. It's going okay, thanks, Fernando. South of England, how do you compare the economy collapsing to this pandemic and how bad it is? Ooh, good question. It's of course very different. One thing is, I would, to be completely honest, this is really not all that bad because all you have to do is just stay put for a while. All you have to do really is just try not to get sick precisely at this moment or these weeks to follow. So just staying put, taking all the precautions, using the personal protection equipment when you go out, uh, you're going to be fine. Now, the economy is going to be in pretty bad shape for maybe years to come, especially the following year and some. So we'll see how that goes down. But the problem with an economy collapse like the one I saw in Argentina and folks over there went through as well, um, it's different. I was talking with Daniel. I just uploaded a video about an interview I did with Daniel. He's a guy. He's a prepper in Venezuela. And that guy has gone through the gauntlet. That guy has suffered. It was a very good interview. Only in Spanish. Just doesn't speak any English. But I did a bit of a video covering his main points. And you're talking about lack of everything, the economy being there's no economy anymore. You just have this uh, joke of a currency that has no value. You have a crazy dictator over you, arming criminals, and you have to deal with unbelievable levels of crime and violence and lack of everything. That is bad. Staying put because of a very deadly virus is no joke either, especially if you're sick and end up in the intensive care unit. But for those of us that are in somewhat good health and all we have to do is just not get sick, it's just not all that bad. What's your thoughts on the asteroid supposed to be around the end of the month? K. Massey, I had no idea. There's an asteroid about to hit us. That would be that would be bad luck beyond belief. I had no idea. What is it? It's like on the news or something, or just something floating around on Facebook or. Be careful with the amount of fake information floating around these days. It's crazy. I don't know if it's the Russians, the Chinese, who it is, but there's an unbelievable amount of crazy talk online these days. Uh, see, Sean Hank 1234. Thanks for making the video about the lessons learned from the gentleman from Venezuela. Instagram Sarp8. Oh, sure. Yeah, my pleasure. I wanted to do it before. I just didn't have the time. These days are, as I was saying before, these days have been pretty crazy. And I just didn't have enough time. I also have to sleep and do the rest of the stuff we all do. So, yeah. Oh, and I'll also use this opportunity to ask my, yeah, I see, Peter Rouse, Gray Man Survivalist. Dude, Peter Rouse. There you are. To my moderator, whatever it is that you are, could you please unblock Peter Rouse because he's still blocked and he's a gentleman I was talking about that I call him out on Switzerland, and he was exactly right. Switzerland is not part of the Schengen. It is part. Sorry, it's part of the Schengen area, and I was wrong about that. My confusion was because, of course, Switzerland is not part of the European Union, and I associated that with the Schengen area. My bad, my mistake. And again, apologizing for that, Peter. So if my moderator, whatever it is that you are, if you could unblock Peter, that would be awesome. Okay, the Bruce Jones. Yes. Yes to what? Miami Me Jams. Do you think they will be a lot civil unrest in a couple of weeks? Will this be 1920? Man, it's impossible to say. It's going to be very bad economically. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some level of violence in a few places. What we have to wrap our heads around is we're going to be seeing poverty all across the board in levels we've never seen it before. Um, Depends on how well government act. You know, some governments are better at managing crisis. Switzerland, for example, is a very well prepared country. Germany has a history of coming together quite nicely when challenged in these ways. Um, Other countries not so much. United States had quite a bit of civil um, polarizations, as to put it, uh, you know, lightly. But you have these conflicts in society that are just going to be exacerbated uh, because of all this even more. And you're seeing unemployment level and unemployment numbers in the United States, like I think like there's never been any before. I think it's worse even than 1921. You don't quote me on that, but I think it's really that bad. And well, I was talking in my Spanish channel that it's going to be a lot worse even for developing nations, for third world countries that are in a lot more of a, you know, again, stuff that I was talking in my Spanish channel. But how can you possibly explain to your population to wash their hands when 40% of the population doesn't even have running water? If you don't have running water, how could you possibly wash your hands? You know, and that is key for minimum hygiene in this case. Either buy a straight razor and soap or go totally fly buzzing Neanderthal. Yeah. The Bruce Jones, very, very classy. Fairfield, appreciate your being genuine and honest. Yeah, man, if you screw up, you have to own up to that. And I really am sorry, and especially because there was a stream that I did and I completely forgot about it, and Peter was rightfully pissed. So sometimes just things don't work all that well. For example, right now when I was trying to log in for this live stream, I had scheduled it already, but the scheduled one I just couldn't get it to work, so I had to open a separate window. You just have to roll with, roll with the things, with the punches as they come along. A private England is going into a deeper lockdown now. No daily walks or anything now. Oh, is that correct? So they're well, because people were abusing that the daily walk thing. I mean, if you don't take it seriously, you won't see those numbers drop as fast as you need them to drop. It's people still hanging in the parks and going about their day, walking, meeting. If only a small percentage of the population follows through with these lockdowns, then it just doesn't achieve anything. The Bruce Jones at Fairfeld, just rare to see on YouTube. It's one reason I subscribe. How long are you expecting lockdowns to last? Man, I think they're already talking about a couple more weeks. Maybe, well, in Spain, probably a couple more weeks, and they'll start kind of letting you out with one of the things that seems to be happening right now is this, and this is pretty interesting. Now, there's a good chance that they're going to be changing the stance on respirators, face masks, and most likely they're going to be kind of suggesting or encouraging people to wear the face masks than the respirators that they told us that don't work. You know, because that is one of the only reasonable ways in which you can start letting people out of their houses and somewhat keep a reasonable level of spread minimized. I mean, that's what the Japanese, Chinese, Asians have been doing for years, wearing face masks, respirators, these things all winter, right? They do it for a reason. They're not exactly stupid people. So it makes perfect sense that that's going to be encouraged once the lockdown is lightly. What they're saying is that slowly it will be, you know, now you can go out for a walk. Now you can go out with the kids, a single parent with a kid. Now you can start doing certain activities. School is likely to be off until next year starts. Well, yeah, it's the summer holidays after the holidays. That will likely be the situation. Grayman survivalists data just out of Europe for the first 12 weeks of 2020 shows no increase in all-cause deaths. If COVID is killing everyone, then why no increase in this data? What like data just out on Man, I don't know. It's probably. I mean, people are clearly dying every day from this. Can't say. It's hundreds of thousands across Europe every day. Private hedge and wicked defense. Fernando, I'm going to change my name just for you to. Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's kind of long. That's okay. The captain of the Navy ship that was fired just tested positive for coronavirus. Which Navy ship was that? There were a few ships that had military personnel infected. Suggestions for my new channel name? Anyone? Myra Rani. COVID. Hi, how are you doing, Myra? COVID has just started in Odessa, Texas. We only have 22 positive, so the apex is coming probably not till 1st May 2020. The thing is this: if people are not getting tested, and look at, I think it's Ecuador, the country that has people rotten on the streets. Literally, there's corpses on the streets in the capital of Ecuador. According to the numbers, they have 3,000 infected and only like 100 dead, and they cannot handle the amount of corpses they have. Why is that? Well, obviously because Ecuador is not really testing the population, and they have a lot more infected people and dead people than the numbers suggest. And in the United States, the testing is not as widespread as it is in other places. Why is it that you have so huge numbers? It's usually quite linked to the amount of tests. So you kind of need that. You need the number of, okay, we have so many infected, so many dead. Okay, how many people got tested that given day? If you have only 100 tests done and you get 80 people infected, man, you're not doing enough testing. So that amount of testing in large numbers is needed so as to have accurate stats. If not, they're useless. I was actually being told by a doctor in Argentina that she's being told to only test people that are over 60 years old or that have a very serious pre-existing condition. If not, and that they're about to be hospitalized. So you're basically not testing anyone. If that's your criteria, you're only testing a small fraction of people that are seriously ill that have coronavirus. But that kind of testing just doesn't hold water in any shape or form. U.S. Navy Theodore Roosevelt. Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware. I'm not surprised. It is very widespread. In the United States, what are the numbers right now? 100,000. Well, it was 100,000 a few days ago. 150,000 infected or more. The Bruce Jones. Thank you, sir. Track Rock. The deep start is the deep state. You mean is watching to see how we react to being forced into our own kennel. Well, that's if you a lot of people have, right? I don't know. I think it. If you want to talk conspiracy theories, I'm looking at China right now, and how is it that this got so spread so fast from something they clearly understood was so dangerous. China needs to answer for us. They clearly had intent in how this went down. Uh, Now, as for the deep state watching for how people react, it could be, but what can you possibly do when you have a disease spreading? The only way to contain it is isolation, is having people quarantined, the good old quarantine in its classic shape. That's the only way you stop this from spreading. We really didn't have any other choice, I think. New York Post, Grayman survivalist, New York Post just reported death rate at around 0.33 and likely to get even lower. Man, New York Post reported just that. Well, was the seasonal flu at 0.1, right? I don't know. Why would New York Post report 0.3? It's the lowest I've seen it was 1 maybe, and up to in Italy, if you go by the numbers, Italy, Spain, you're looking at 5, 6%, something like that. I don't know where New York Post is getting their numbers. What is that from? Like the death rates they have in New York, maybe? If that's the case, you still have a long way to go because there's a pile of infected people that one of the other numbers that you have to keep in mind is this: the amount of people infected, sure, the amount of people dead, sure. You have to also look at the amount of people that have recovered and have fully recovered and are testing negative. If you look at the amount of people that have actually recovered from this compared to the amount of people that have died, it is a chilling number. A 5-year-old child died in UK. So sad. Yeah, that sucks. That's terrible. I understand that kids die every day, people die every day, thousands of people die every day, but this is on top of that. And if you don't take it seriously, you end up with a situation like in Italy, like in Spain, and like in UK as well, where um, with all those warnings, thinking, oh, we're not going to be going as bad as Italy did, you end up with overrun hospitals in New York as well, right? If testing that population, then that is known and biased testing and very unscientific for data. What's your disinfection procedure for your gas mask and yourself when you get back from the store? David Hutton, good question. What I do is I have one of these disinfecting sprays, so I just spray it on the obviously dispose of the disposable gloves. Um, I use like a waterproof jacket. Take that off, let it ventilate and air properly, and dispose of the disposable. Throw away the disposable gloves. Spray the mask with a disinfectant spray. Wipe it, and we have the bag of groceries. We take everything out little by little and disinfect it with water and bleach. You know, so as to make sure that anything that you get into the house has been properly disinfected. But I was asked to do a video about that. I suppose I'll have to do like the procedure. I think most people are doing somewhat. Are you guys doing the same thing? What is it that you guys do when you bring back groceries or anything that you bring from outside, or maybe when what do you do when the Amazon guy drops a box? What can we post links on here? Give it a try. I have no idea. Just see if it can be posted. How many world leaders, past and present, are from Rothschild's seed bank? Who knows, man? That's one of those questions, right? The other thing is that for wondering why some of the richer, more powerful people in the world that got infected, well, it seems that you can use the blood of someone that recovered, uh, and you do a transfusion, not of the entire blood, but some of the white cells or something like that. And if you do that, it's long, it's expensive, it's a bit of a uh, elite only kind of solution. But if you do that, the plasma, exactly, thanks a go. So it seems that doing the plasma transfusion from a recovered person to someone that is sick, that seems to be a pretty solid one. And I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're doing with some of the rich and powerful. Wipe with hand sanitizer, wash fruits and vegetables with soap and water. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. I have a clinical UV sterilizer that I use. Heard people using evaporating H2O2. All right, plasma. So yeah, that's what seems to be, and it makes sense. I mean, someone that just healed and someone that just beat the virus, the plasma from that person, Grayman survivalist, did link above work. No, I don't see anything at all. No, sorry for that. Just put the name of the article, and anyone that can go look it up. I guess from the New York Post, right? So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're doing with some of these guys. But as for the rest of us, if you kind of have to avoid getting sick right now. Right now would be the worst possible moment to get sick because uh, people that would otherwise be connected to a respirator, oxygen, whatever it is that you need. Now a lot of that is just not being available. Ahmed Usul, hello from Algeria. Hey man, how is it going on over there in Algeria? Do you have lots of infected people over there as well, or isn't it as bad? Take lots of vitamin C. Yes, good tip right there. Yes, I am taking a lot of vitamin C, and we are all taking quite a bit of vitamin C in our family, and that's because of what our friend David Jones told us or told me in an interview. I was checking that interview. That was in January 25th, give or take. Man, we've been talking about this thing for a long while. I don't know how any government can say that this just hit them out of nowhere. Turmeric, Bracken 10011. Dude is Bracken. Is it Matt Bracken? Turmeric. We consume quite a bit of turmeric with rice. It's one of our like main dishes, so we consume that a lot. It has like anti-inflammatory properties. The vitamin C as well. There's lots of things that you can do so as to boost your immune system. We talked about this before. The exercise thing, the sleeping well thing, the trying to keep stress levels low, not making much of a fuss about things that are not as important. So yeah, it all works. They found the cure for the virus. Stop watching the news. It really works. Okay. Grayman survivalist. New York Post. Okay, there is COVID-19 death rate lower than previously reported study. Yeah, but Grayman, dude, Peter, the thing is this that one study shows one thing, another study shows something else. If you go by the numbers, like in Italy, Spain, where there's a lot of people infected, there's a lot of people that got, or what even what the World Health Organization was at first, the WHO was at first saying 3.4, and that was somewhat to what was coming out um, of China. Italy, Spain is 5, 6%, so it's pretty bad numbers. I don't know if 0.3 makes that much sense. That would mean that it's like 3 times worse than seasonal flu, which would be pretty bad already. But I don't think it explains the kind of things that we're seeing in pretty much everywhere these days. Pretty much any country that got hit is almost overrun by it. Ahmed Usul, our country is crumbling, oil is down, and super corrupt country. Our death rate is 10%. What, for coronavirus, you have 10% mortality rate? Liposomal vitamin C far more effective than general oral vitamin C. Liposomal 90% absorption, while oral vitamin C less than 10% absorption. Okay, I had no idea about that. Top butter item that you foresee? Jones, man. Well, gas mask. That would be clearly one of the things that is in high demand. Gas mask, filters, all those things will definitely be in high demand. Hand sanitizer, alcohol. the things that are people are fighting over right now. And yeah, there's going to be a demand for a number of things. And guys, this is going to be a period of time for being creative, innovation, finding your ways in tough markets. You'll have to find a solution to make your own way when the economy crashes, like it's likely to happen. I learned about adding turmeric and rice because of your book. Thanks. Anonymous. Anonymous. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, yes. Thank you. Absolutely. I do recommend turmeric in my book, and it has several good properties. It's not just for this. It's just good in general. Turmeric is like an anti-inflammatory. So there's even some suggestions about having benefits for cancer, reducing the likeliness of it at least. So anything that's anti-inflammatory for your body, for example, sugar would be inflammatory. Every time you eat something very sweet, every time you consume a serious amount of sugar, your body becomes, inflamed, and you sort of feel that. Turmeric has the opposite effect. How that's Hudson shotgun working out durability wise? Well, I haven't used it lately, but I put a good number of rounds. Hudsons are tough shotguns. It's kind of heavy. It's not lightweight or anything, but it's a tough, heavy gun for sure. I think it's quite durable. I don't have any Turkish shotguns for whatever reason. They are usually quite good. Turkish um, weapons manufacturer sort of focus on shotguns because maybe for some legal reasons in their country, but the shotguns that come out of Turkey are usually quite solid. Survive anything. I'm bugged in, living off food stores and working remotely. Okay, that's good. Survive anything. Where are you, and why aren't you? I mean, did you stop going to the stores buying? I just try to keep buying stuff and not consume the stockpile. Maybe even add to it rather than just start using already. Ahmed Usul, yes, 10%, but we don't test everyone. The only advantage is our population is pretty young, but as 10 years ago. That seems to be very popular in developing countries. In Argentina, it's the same thing. They're not testing people. It's almost a joke the amount of people they're testing. Um, so it is not very serious, to be honest. Can you reuse N95 mask by putting in the dryer at highest setting for 30 minutes? Direct sunlight for 4 hours is better than throwing them away. Yes, absolutely. Yes, and even in hospitals, they're using UV lights just to sterilize them. You have to be creative when you're running out. Grayman survivalist. The World Health Organization statement was misrepresented. World WHO stated 3.4, but expected that number to lower dramatically. The media left up the last part of the statement. Well, but man, in Italy, Spain, you have 5%. What's the number? It's even higher than 3.4%. Anonymous, it beats the heck out of eating my stockpile rice plain. Yeah, yeah, it makes for nice. Yeah, we use it all the time. Rice, turmeric, vegetables, or lentils. We go for that very often. New Zealand mortality rate is 0.0001. But how many infected do they have in New Zealand? They have like four guys. Yeah, look at Germany. Germany started pretty good. Germany started with they had like 1,000 people infected, like two dead. Then a few days later, they're kind of pairing up there with everyone else. I don't know. What do you mean that like that? It's not as bad as they say it is. If that was the case, you wouldn't see the reaction you're seeing all over the world. I mean, Trump at first would say that it wasn't that serious, that it wasn't bad. He had to change his tune quite a bit because it obviously is. I don't know exactly. Grayman, dude, we will have to wait to have a real number. We will have to wait until this is over. If anything, I at least go with the hospitals around the world being overwhelmed and collapsed and not being able to deal with the amount of people sick that they have. happen in Italy, Spain, UK, happens everywhere. It's happening in the United States. So I don't know for sure how bad it is, but it's definitely a lot worse than it was. It's definitely not just. It's just a flu, bro. You know, it's not the flu, bro. It's not. Do you think it's wise to invest time in a risk study in medicine in Argentina coming from Spain would should hit the fan as much as in Venezuela in a decade? Studying Fernan, studying medicine in Argentina, you mean? Well, it's free. If you want to do it, Buenos Aires, try to be careful. It's a dangerous place. It's not exactly a joke, and it's not going to be getting any better anytime soon. I wouldn't go there myself. I cannot recommend others to do what I wouldn't do myself. You know that just wouldn't make any sense. Now, lots of great people in Argentina, lots of great doctors in Argentina come out of Argentina. It's a place where people, everything has to come out of effort and sweat and blood, and sometimes that achieves great things. Um, if your options are not studying or going to study in Argentina, absolutely. But I would try to avoid it by as much as possible. I'm a pretty good salesman, and the idea of butter seems far fetched. You need to know exactly what people are going to be needing ahead of time, supply and demand. Yeah, it's that's a tricky one. It's stock stock up on things that you know you need yourself. Herd immunity will prevail. All our lives we've swim in seas of viruses. We're only here because of our ancestors survived many pandemics. Yeah, well, that is correct. But how much of a toll are you willing to, how many thousands and thousands of dead? The idea is to avoid all that as much as possible. Towel Warner has both heat and UV disinfecting options and is likely to be more available than the products marketed as UV disinfecting devices. The Germans are rich as hell and won't help their neighbors. Yeah, they're kind of a little bit like that. This reaction must be about something else. More testing is needed to get real numbers. Yes, absolutely, yes. Holly B, we now have a state lockdown order, only essential work and supply trips. Where are you, Holly B? Grayman, Italy admitted that if someone dies and tests positive for COVID 19, then they are added to the statistics even if they have a heart attack or car accidents. Car accidents are non existent at this time. And there's kind of like a nationwide. I was just listening to this on the news. In Spain, it's like there's no crime, there's no car accidents, like no one is going anywhere. So there's very few people. Now, if you find a car crashed in the middle of the road and the guy dropped dead and he tests for positive for COVID-19, I guess it would be reasonable to assume that he died because of that. The plutocrats will behave badly through their army. Watch out, biggest haste on its way. Be mentally prepared, take care. With EU, more deaths reported equals more funding. I don't know, what the what they're saying. Well, there seems to be quite a bit of a fight there between Spain, Italy, and some of the other, well, mostly Spain and Italy, and the northern European countries that don't want to loosen the strings of the purse. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's going to be all that much funding coming. There's going to be, of course, I think there's some uh, minimum interest loans and stuff like that, but I don't know if there's anything already. Did you see the Queen's talk in the UK and the insincere dribble she put out to all the working slaves under her feet? Russell Ludekin. Well, yeah, well that's the attitude, right? It's these guys, these people, the elite considers that anyone you know below them is just a subject to the crown. Problem, reaction, solution. Alabama, U.S. One silver eagle will equal one live chicken. One silver eagle is like 16 bucks. I think you can get more than just one live chicken, man, for it. Pretty sure you can get more than one dead chicken for a silver eagle. Anonymous, my wife works in a hospital lab. Things are quiet because everyone is staying home and not getting into accidents. Yeah, that's the thing. Same with crime. Well, there was never much, but now it's like zero. Car accident actually occurred early on before lockdown, and they died. They added to the numbers. People need to adapt to sudden change and leave all your preps behind. Read six Rudy West said, okay, Vargas, you first and give me your preps now. Yeah, that's true. Holly B, right now, Alabama is it right? Alabama has 31 dead and 1,700 cases. Eh, and how's testing going in Alabama? Is it a high number so as to be, because as I was saying before, Ecuador with 3,000 cases and 170 dead, they were overrun, obviously collapsed. They couldn't even pick up the dead in the streets. So those numbers really meant nothing. See the infants that died in U.S. and they tried to claim it was linked to COVID-19. The infant died from an accident. It was a political move. Man, if there's a political move in any sense, it is the overwhelming number of people that are saying that they're refusing that they're refused testing. That is the political move I've seen. There's a lot of people that have been sick that asked to be tested and they were just denied testing. No, we don't have it. There was many cases of people in the United States that were told that they did not test people for COVID-19 unless they were showing the symptoms, or if anything, what I saw, at least on my end, was uh, a very clear intent of not having those numbers go up. Holly B, 431 in hospital. 431 in hospital with COVID 19 there. What is it like in your hospital? Just a tip to avoid picking up coronavirus via your hands touching surfaces. Put on marigold gloves, then regular family gloves on top. Put your hands in diluted bleach. Now you touch corona, it dies. In Louisiana, okay, Louisiana, okay, that's my bad. We're fucked, mate. Been doing it while shopping. They are testing more now. I will check numbers. Grayman, Italy, 99% of deaths had pre-existing conditions. Where? Where did you get that, man? That doesn't sound. I don't want to screw up anything again, but doesn't sound right. 99% of deaths had pre-existing conditions in Italy. Where do you read that? 50 of them had three or more pre-existing conditions. What's the source for that? Holly B, 13,000 tested so far. Okay, that's is that okay? Is it not bad, or that's in Louisiana? 13,000 tested so far. Of the 13,000 tested, you had almost like, was it like 10% came back positive? No few. That is sounds kind of crappy, you know. Doesn't sound like 13. If it was 13,000 tested, and there's what? Let me go back there. 13,000 tested, and there's 1,700 cases. So that's like over 10% of the people that get tested have coronavirus. So that's, at least for my non-medical opinion, it would seem like there's a lot of people that are probably, well, there was a number floating around that they said that from whatever number you have, it can be from 10 times to 100 times more people that are infected out there and about, and they don't even know they're sick. It could well be the case. At Grayman survivalists, yes, but many died that would have survived because of the ICUs are jammed. That is true. That is actually true. Lots of people that died in Italy, Spain, and are dying in UK are dying because there's no more room for them, and there's not enough ventilators, and they have to decide who lives and who dies. And if those guys had proper, um, but now thinking about it, what does it matter? They end up dying anyway. If someone ends up dying because there's not enough ventilators, you're still dead. What difference does it make? Sure, if those people had received the proper medical, but it's impossible. I mean, we are theorizing on things that just cannot happen. Pretty much in any country where when it starts hitting those numbers, they just run out of equipment, supplies, personnel, and they have to make those decisions. So it ends up killing you effectively. Grayman survivalists. Yes, many hidden videos of people refuse testing. Also, empty hospitals where the media reported the same hospitals are war zones. I am from Houston. Large increase in burglary. My mom works for a massive healthcare system. They have been converting areas in hospitals like cafeterias for overflow. That is quite common. They're turning like any stadiums or, well, in Spain they converted an ice skating place into a morgue. I think that in New York they were using meat trucks for the corpses as well. I'm from Houston. Large increase in burglaries. So, well, yes, that Ryan, that is also interesting. In Italy, it also happened that they were using this as scams to take advantage of older people. They would go around the streets, knocking on doors, telling that they were from the from the local uh, from the local healthcare place or whatever. That they were checking on them. They would go inside and rob those old folks. So that sort of thing kind of happens in other places as well. Reported in Italy. Louisiana has 13,000 cases. We are fifth in the nation. Not good. No, not good at all. Raymond Link, Alabama has 4,900,000 citizens. Cited by Italian government, 99% of number. I should stay out of grocery stores, even for long-term preppers with years of supplies. There can never be enough. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I was talking with Daniel, the guy in Venezuela. He bought a year and a half worth of food, preparing for socialism and Hugo Chavez and then for Maduro. And his plan was have a year and a half worth of food. That's going to be enough for him. And it turns out that even a year and a half worth of food was not enough. So you can never have enough food. Definitely, that's clearly a thing. And at a certain point, it goes beyond how much food you have. You have to make up your mind about other things, like where you're living and if it's worth staying there. Not a single person has died because they have not had a ventilator. Show a single link to a report where this has happened. Well, yeah, there's a lot of those. If you look up, there's a lot of people. There's lots of reports saying just that, Raymond. And I read several of those that they just don't have enough ventilators for everyone. I mean, that's why they're fighting over them, right? Graven, that article is from March 18th. Not sure how current that info is. They're expecting our numbers to climb, obviously in Alabama. Evening from UK. Jason, hi. Hey, man. Check that link. Can post link. Have to post title. Yeah. Yeah, no, that is the part about not a single person died from not having a ventilator. There's a lot of that's been all over the news in Spain and Italy for sure. It's I mean there's downright reports of doctors, nurses saying that they just don't have the equipment for them, and they have to decide who gets the ventilator and who doesn't get it. And the older guy that doesn't get the ventilator because the younger guy has a greater chance of living, they just give him a painkiller so that he doesn't passes away in a more painful way. But that's been all over. Have had even people contact me directly on my Instagram, which, by the way, I'll leave the link here as well. Instagram. So there's people that contacted me directly on Instagram telling me just that it's yes, it's happening. It is a thing. They don't have the resources for everyone. They don't even have the supplies for themselves in terms of personal protection equipment. So I wouldn't be surprised about that either. Uh, So yeah, I'll leave my Instagram there. It's Fairfile308. In Instagram, it's doing pretty well. I try to keep stuff there, posting something every day or something like that. If you want to go check it out, anyone that wants to follow me on Instagram, there is. Are Spain's numbers still climbing or starting to flatten? Holly B. Well, they're starting to go down. I think that the number of dead has dropped a little bit. In theory, with everyone locked down the way everyone is, those numbers have to go down. So yes, in theory they are going down, and I have no reason to believe that they're not going down for real, because everyone is pretty conscious about staying put nationwide. And, and even when you go outside, you see people with masks with something. In grocery stores, you have marks on the floor, and you keep the distance, and you wash your hands. So yes, it's pretty well organized. So numbers will definitely start going down in Spain because they are doing things uh, completely useless. The government sucks. It's the worst kind of bullshit socialism there is. But at least in that regard, late, but the measures taking right now. And Spanish people are very calm in general. You know, you have to give them that when they put their minds to doing something right, they do it, and everyone is pulling in the same direction and staying in place. Um, what's your point? Hyperbole, government conspiracy? What's the real? I have no idea. A priest gave up a ventilator so that a younger person could have it. Yes, and there was a doctor in Italy that he said, you know, I have it. He was not getting any better, and he just said, don't connect me to anything. Instead of putting me in a ventilator, just let me die. And the guy died. So, and that was all over the news. That was a big story because it was he was the head of a hospital over there. Not don't remember exactly where in Italy, but it was like a head honcho in some hospital, an older guy that got sick, and he said, just don't bother, just let it be. They are using CPAP machines instead of ventilators for slightly less critical patients, and they work. Okay, that's interesting. That's encouraging. Um, Farouk Kaba. I heard that the CPAP is not as it cannot work like a proper ventilator, but you're saying that for less serious. Okay, that makes sense. For less serious things, it kind of works. Once you get on a ventilator, your chances of coming off are slim to none, like a high as 85% fatality. Stay healthy. Yeah, that is true as well. When you're connected to a ventilator, you're kind of screwed. And better than just dying right away. But man, What political and economic second order effects do you expect? Ah, man, it's going to be quite bad in terms of unemployment, poverty in general. You're going to be seeing people struggling very bad. And everything that comes along with that. When you have a high poverty, high unemployment rates, you usually see crime go up. You see, um, the standards of living of people dropping considerably, and it's going to be a lot worse in poorer nations. The poorer a country is, the more it's going to be hit by it. So it's going to be a few interesting, probably a few interesting years. It's not going to be something that goes away fast. Um, I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe a year from now, everyone is singing along and having a great time, and everything is perfect. I don't think that's all that likely to happen, though. It's going to be at least a pretty bad year to come. Hey, Fernando. Hey, Fernando, sign your book for me when I buy it. Vargas. Oh, okay. I'm happy to sign your book if you're around. No problem. Just I've signed books for people before. If they're in the neighborhood, I'll sign it for you, man. No problem. My 83-year-old mom was on a ventilator for 2 weeks, and she lived another 6 years after that. Okay, good for you, man. That's great. But it's true that when someone is hooked to a ventilator, it's yeah, that's a tough one. A lot of people just. My grandfather was hooked to one. Both my grandfathers ended up with ventilators, and that was the last of them. It helps people get oxygen, of course it does. If it's 5G, oh, the 5G thing again. If it's 5G, the ventilators escalate the problem as in China. I'm not saying it's because none of us have that information to confirm here in Western world, but Chinese are chopping down 5G poles in anger. You mean that the phone 5G? I don't know what that means. Anonymous, in my state, guys, I have a couple more minutes and have to go. If not, the wife's gonna be killing me. In my state, they closed down all the gun stores and any permanent application. It will be interesting to see how long that lasts. Anonymous, yeah, well, that shouldn't last very long. It's not the kind of thing that people in America like. You know, there's nothing stronger than human tendencies, and the world before COVID was based exclusively on that. It will be a shame when this is over. A treat day for tomorrow, world nature. Yeah, I don't know what the coronavirus is telling the world that indigenous peoples have been saying for thousands of years. We do not help protect biodiversity, nature will face the worst. Okay, okay, guys, that's gonna be it for today. I'm thinking about doing this once a week on Sundays. If you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments from the video. But man, it's great to catch up with everyone and hope everyone is okay. All right, take care. Look after yourselves. Don't do anything silly, and wear your respirators, your masks, and your gloves when you go out. Folks, take care. Have a good one. Bye bye.